Hello, good evening, welcome to UPfront. Today, the latest twist to the unfolding saga around that particular tape, which will soon be played, work of Anas Aremia Anas, which is receiving a lot and a lot of response from people, is that Parliament is unwilling to let one of their own go, not that easily. That is the Member of Parliament for Laura and also Deputy Transport Minister. We sure will tell you more about exactly why there's this resistance. Of course, Bureaus in Transport, yes, this resistance from the legislature in this particular case, and get to delve deeper into sports administration in the country, which seem to be the crux of the entire investigative piece, with the people in Ghana's legislature who understand and appreciate it so much. After this break, we'll also be bringing you some perspectives of law on what's currently happening, so you have a brighter and better appreciation of what is really the case with Nyantakyi, with Anthony Abai-Fakabu, and also with the President and the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, all being on this particular tape. You welcome back. This is UPfront. Now, what I'm telling you is that today Parliament has sent a clear message to the police administration that no member will assist them in their investigations into alleged use of President Akufo-Addo's name to induce potential investors to part with money by the head of the Ghana Football Association, that is Nyantakyi, unless a formal request is made to the Speaker. And we do know that Anthony Abai-Fakabu has been invited to the Criminal Investigations Department and having been mentioned in undercover investigations into corruption by the GFA president. The decision, however, did not go down well with Parliament. Huge wrath from the legislature, with the MPs insisting that the police action is in direct breach of the Constitution and the standing orders of the House. Well, we shall be getting into the details of that. My guest today is a member of Parliament. He's also the ranking member on the Youth and Sports Committee in Parliament. Honorable Kwabena Mensah Woyome, you are welcome.
Thank you very much.
I hope you are doing well today.
By the grace of God.
Okay, so I cannot hear you and the power with which you speak.
Yeah.
So if you could speak up a little bit louder.
By the grace of God, I'm good.
Brilliant. Now, we'll talk about sports administration, but it looks like currently the biggest issue in the Parliament is you're unwilling to subject one of your own to scrutiny by a legitimate state institution, that is the Criminal Investigations Department. Exactly what is Parliament's problem?
I think we do not have any problem per se. I think it's all about procedure and as contained in our own standing orders and the Constitution. And so the Speaker of Parliament ought to be notified. And so the Speaker of Parliament then, engages the person in question and then, of course, informs the person of the invitation from the appropriate institution and for which reason the person then goes. So I don't think procedurally it's the same thing. It's what is contained in our own books and our own laws. So I do not see any problem at all with it, and I do not think that anybody is preventing a legitimate institution going into a matter that is before it. And so I don't think there's any problem. There hasn't been any problem.
So you have a difficulty with the CID contacting the MP, proud to contacting Parliament?
No. The point is, I think they ought to get it right. And I don't think this is the first time they are inviting a member of Parliament. Okay? I don't think this is the first time. And they ought to understand and appreciate the processes and understand the procedures. And so, in fact, the rule of law, I believe that is the era in which we are. And we are believing that we are respecting every letter of it. And so then, let us do according to what is required. And that is what I think Parliament is indicating. The procedures are there. So, and I don't think Mr. Speaker would say no. I mean, they would want to stampede any investigation into a matter such as what is unfolding. You understand? And I don't think so.
So what is wrong with the contacting of the MP directly, especially when he was needed days ahead of time? Exactly what's the difficulty beyond the process? What's the difficulty in this case?
What it is this. Maybe officially, this member of Parliament probably is engaged in some, work and all that. And so...
For Parliament?
Yeah, and all that. And so all I believe, is to allow some procedures be followed, and then the MP informed properly by the speaker, the head of the institution, about an invitation for which he or she must honor, and that is what it is. And so I don't think, because if a member of parliament, you see, again, we have somebody may call it immunity or whatever. Not really in the sense of it, but for instance, if a member is on his way to parliament and is representing a good number of people, you understand, and of course probably on his way to go and undertake some official duties for and on behalf of his people that he represents, I mean, you should be able to appreciate one thing, that okay, allow that person to undertake what ought to be done, okay, in the interest of the state.
Okay.
Then he calls on the appropriate institution as a result of the speaker notifying him when he receives same, and then he then goes to do what ought to be done. I think it's
Are there exceptions to this rule?
No, I mean, I think it's a procedure.
So if the member of parliament is alleged to have committed a heinous crime, let's say first degree murder, and the police will need the man immediately to actually aid them in their investigation, and this man has the potential of fleeing the country, they should abandon all of that process and still seek to go through the bureaucratic established by law.
That is what is required. That is what is required.
Because someone saying that you are clearly putting impediments in the way of...
I don't think, but that is what the law is. That is the situation. That is the state of it. That is what ought to be done, the process. And I don't think it's something that is, nobody's reinventing anything, or maybe because of a particular person that this has come up. No, it is something that has been there long before the person in question even became a member of parliament. And so this is a process that ought to be followed when a member of parliament is supposed to be invited for any sort of investigation such as this. I don't think, well, I also appreciate what you are trying to say, but I do not think that when even it comes to that, the agency or the police or the security agencies would have been well, informed about the movement of the person in question, if that is what it is, to the point where the speaker is informed about maybe the agency attached to the invitation. And of course, the speaker would have looked at it and then immediately inform the member. And of course, the member then turns himself in, accordingly. So I don't think the agency will just sit down, okay, knowing that this is what the member of parliament has committed, such as what you've just indicated. Trust me, they will put people around. Surveillance will be on the person until the right thing is done and the person is picked up, or is invited until the person eventually comes to their doorstep to answer the questions that ought to be answered. So
can they give the excuse that he was invited in his capacity as a minister, not a member of parliament?
First and foremost, he's a member of parliament.
But he has dual capacity.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I mean, he is a member of parliament, represent the good people of Laura. Yes, and so probably, I mean, possibly he's carrying out his official duty for a good people of the people he represents. And the law is so straight. I mean, that's, look, just apply to the speaker, inform the speaker about this member of parliament is needed to assist in any investigation. And that has been it. I mean, there has never been any...
I want us to start from the beginning on this particular issue, because, I mean, it's basically we stopping in the middle.
You actually would want us to discuss the issue regarding the sports administration.
Yes.
But trust me, this is a straightforward thing that is contained in our laws. And so if maybe the system or maybe Ghanaians who are custodians of the law who are the owners of it and think that, well, they want their members of parliament to be treated differently from what is written, they can as well put it across. We are going through some reform. We are asking suggestions to reform our constitution and all that to meet the current times we live in. So if that is what you want to put across, let us all discuss it and debate about it and see how it goes. But currently, this is what it is.
Okay, it's interesting to know that,
Yeah.
but we should be getting into some detail on that maybe later on in our conversation.
Absolutely,
But yes,
absolutely.
one of the things that I want to start off is, I mean, it started off as a rumor and there will be a tape and that a documentary will be aired on June 6th. People were sitting on tenterhooks and they believed it will be about football administration in Ghana. Then the action of the presidency seemed to have brought a lot of life to this particular documentary. So far, what has panned out? Are you shocked and surprised about first the report of the president to the police, the subsequent invitation and arrest, and all of the things that are planned up to this particular date? Are you shocked?
Well, as I've always indicated to a number of media houses, I received the news with mixed feelings, in a sense that the very moment the Deputy Chief of Staff spoke, he actually churned out clear and categorical statements. One, that they have actually established a prima facie case against the president of the FA, and have actually gone on to say so many things. And so as a result, have transferred same to the CID. Immediately, that portion, I mean, I was like, what really was the matter? That the presidency is able to establish, that before
on its
before,
own, able to
yes,
establish
before
prima
before
facie.
that
I mean,
going
that's
to
not
the
an investigative body anyway.
Yeah, of course. So before being transferred to the CID, and then of course, so then if that was really done, then why the transfer of the issue to the CID? And then therefore, what then do you want the CID to do? I mean, going forward. And so that one was what I was taking a bit aback. However, I received a lot of calls afterwards from several quarters, and clearly you realize that there's been this perception out there about the sports industry as a whole, and then the perception that is so bedeviled with corruption and etc. And if you look at the past, events, such as the fallouts from the Commission of Inquiry after the 2014 World Cup, and then the staggering revelations from some of the members of the FA. Subsequent, you realize that there was some kind of uneasiness between the former Minister for Youth and Sport, Honorable Nilante Vanderpoel, and the FA President and the FA as a whole. You would notice that key things were coming out. Some bordered on corruption, perceived corruption, issues of budgets and bloated figures, and so on and so forth. And so all of that have really been on the minds of the people. So immediately this news broke, the calls that I received was that, oh yeah, they've always believed and thought that, yes, there's something very, untoward or bad about the, especially the FA, the administration of football. So therefore, they would want to see how the taxpayer money is actually used to govern or to handle our national teams, and also several other sponsorships that they received to run the Premier Leagues and all that. So clearly, this has been on the minds of the people. And what is really making the real issue is the aspect of what they are attributing to the FA president. As having said, you only need 20 cities, and quote, I'm just trying to try
for a referee.
For every 20 cities, and then a woman, and etc., etc. With all respect to our dear brothers and mothers and dear sisters out there, and how it was put out clearly. And if you just oppose that to the recent happenings, why the delay in the start of the Premier League itself, and then you realize that it's been a perennial thing. We're here last year, 2 years ago, and it's been like something that is continuing all the time, which affects the calendar of the entire football administration. And what was the cause of some of these teams to go to court and did not believe and have confidence in the conflict resolution mechanism within the FA, the judicial system, the ethics committee, and all that, to the extent that they bypass all this and go to the normal courts to seek redress? Then these are the issues. Sometimes we keep asking the questions, and then issues keep coming up. When you look at all this,
There's a question I'll ask you about. I mean, oversight is on government institutions.
Absolutely.
It is difficult to classify the GFA as a government institution.
Well, quasi.
Yes, that's the interesting part.
Quasi.
So your oversight might not be.
But the truth of the matter is that we are not only to oversight government entities. That is it. Okay. Yes. We are just to ensure, as representative of the good people of this country, we ensure good governance, accountability, and then, I mean, above all, the transparency in the expenditure.
Even for an institution that derives most of its power from an external entity, like the FIFA.
You see, you realize that there was this mystery around FIFA for so many years, until what happened in 2016, to the extent that there was this major reform in February 2016. I mean, that's actually broken the mystery surrounding these associations, to the extent that all of them have started reforming. FIFA had to go through some reform. CAF had to go through some reform. Okay, and so that must also have some, clearly, what is happening. I will call for a thorough reform. We need to now reanalyze the entire FA executive, the entire administration, and then probably request they look within and see where the weaknesses are, and then suggest some reform. You see, so this is very important, just to be in line with what had happened from the mother body, so that at least we can have a better administration, transparent, and then as much as possible, decisions are implemented with the clear anticipation, not really making any mistake. That is very important for us.
I'll come back to what the way forward is supposed to be, and of course you started hinting of how reforms are required in this case. I'll be interrogating exactly what kind of reforms will be needed in this case.
The point is this: once these things are happening, for instance, if you look at why teams are not satisfied and would have to, instead of resorting to their own internal mechanism to resolve problems, are now bypassing the same and going courts, then it means something is wrong. That is clear indication that something is not working well
with the structures
in place, or somebody is not being transparent.
Okay.
And clearly, even those that are appointed clearly to also be members of the executive and all to be members of various committees and all that, there's the need to do proper profiling and know who are really very, competent to be able to handle those and handle them properly on behalf of the good people, and then all of us, and then the teams, the clubs also as well. And so these are things that I know the mother association, FIFA, prescribed, and they have actually gone through and have actually, it has actually paid off. And so I believe some of this can also be looked at. And then also there must be some introspection. I mean, look within by the members. They have regional bodies. All of them must begin to look within and see how. Because you see, if they don't do so, the difficulty will be how to attract sponsorship.
Okay, but that's a point that we actually
very,
go
very
to,
important.
because the last 2 or 3 years has been difficult getting somebody to sponsor the
and
Premier
when you
League
talk to many of them behind the scenes, it's all about transparency issues.
They have difficulties with
They have difficulties. Well, and so you see, so when they are coming on board, because the people talk to them, people behind the scene also talk to them. Okay, and so when you also want to talk to them, for them to come to rescue the body, so that we can maybe better, because I'm not too happy to see us all seem to be drifting and supporting European teams over and above our local teams.
I see.
But then what is it that we are doing wrong, okay, locally, and that they are getting right all the time? And for that reason, we seem to be shifting focus and attention and support for. And these are some of the things that we need to all be interested in and to find solutions for. One key thing is how interesting the game is. It's about all these kind of things that are coming up now. I will not be able to say much until I even view the video properly to understand to what extent our president, said what he said. When I meant, I don't mean that
the president of
the Republic, but the president of GFA.
Okay.
We then will be able to put things in proper perspective.
Now, I want to understand this from where you said. Some say that, mindful of what is currently happening, that Mr. Nyantakyi should step aside. Kwabena Yeboah is a sports administrator, he's a journalist of old, he's known history, not without that. His competence in the game is also not unknown. Do you support such a claim?
Well, you see, the entity ought to be saved. Currently, I believe their image is so sunk. And there are good members in there who are, I believe, will be or be seen to be men and women of integrity.
Okay.
And the way things are happening, it will be good for him to not to say resign, but to step aside and allow a caretaker, president to take. That is within the laws. Whilst this matter is prosecuted. I mean, I don't know, but then I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Was he stepping aside?
Yeah, I mean, what's wrong? Because then that will then, to an extent, take the heat away from the other members who are in there, who want to see the right things done and probably move the administration of football forward.
Okay.
And so on. But the other is, you also look at it from the other point that, well, he's stepping aside. To what extent do you think he would affect the investigation?
That's the question I was.
And so I do not see, because he doesn't really oversee anything per se to say it would have any impediment on the way of investigating the matter into the.
I'll come to that point, but there's a statement from the FA on this one, and I'm reading verbatim. It says, on Tuesday, 22nd May 2018, there was an activation of the relevant state institutions to probe into issues relating to the president of the Ghana Football Association, Mr. Nyantakyi, in the yet-to-be-released documentary by Anas Aremia. Anas thought, though the president of the GFA was on official duties outside the country, he cut his trip short and returned to Ghana on 23rd May 2018. On his arrival, he was escorted to the CID headquarters where he was interrogated, a statement taken and subsequently granted bail. Presently, he is helping the police with their investigations. The president remains innocent until he is proven guilty of all the charges leveled against him. The GFA president, being a law-abiding citizen, respects the law. He is not a flight risk and has indicated his willingness and availability to investigative authority anytime he is required to do so. Following a meeting of the executive committee of the GFA on Thursday, the body wishes to state that nothing has changed in terms of the GFA hierarchy, and Mr. Nyantakyi remains president of the Ghana Football Association. Any statement to the contrary must be disregarded. We wish to reiterate that Mr. Nyantakyi has the full support of the Executive Committee of the Ghana Football Association. All offices and outlets of the GFA remain fully functional, and we confirm that all scheduled activities of the Federation continue without any hindrances. We urge all stakeholders and members to remain calm during this period, and the Secretary of the Football Association, Isaac Addo, signed this particular release. Way to go?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I was telling you earlier that it's about image here, about the entire entity. And so the process of investigating this matter, I really do not see he really, he's at
the top of it.
Yeah.
If you have engaged the people who know the FA inside out, he's a very powerful person. They are not of the opinion that he's not in the position not to influence things. Indeed, recently he got rid of his vice president, who was trying to contest him one way or the other. It is inconceivable to think that he cannot influence the structures or in any way hamper the ongoing investigation.
As for instance, if really he's capable of doing that, do you think he can still do it while stepping aside? Because I do not see.
You made the point that there's an image issue that ought to be considered.
Yes, so you see, and in taking that decision, it becomes so personal one. Let him look at it, okay? Let him look at it. Forget about the others and the secretary who has written and signed that letter. For instance, they would think that, well, everything's fine and everything's okay. But it's for him to begin to look at it, sincerely, I have not even viewed the video to know to what extent he is culpable. Okay, and to what extent he's really, with all the charges preferred against him and all that. That is how come I'm unable to go deep into this discussion. And so we just are dwelling on what the deputy chief of staff had said, and then the subsequent actions and then inaction that has culminated into what we are all hearing and so I think it's a matter of image, and he can decide to say, okay, let me step aside and allow the system function whilst I deal with the case.
Okay.
Now, as to whether
so like can be an undivided attention in dealing with this matter.
Sort of. It's a personal decision to take. And I also agree, with a portion of the statement indicating that he remains innocent until proven guilty.
Yes, and that is what general principle.
Yes, that is it. Yeah, that is it. And so, based on this, we would want to wait and see and watch the video, because that will tell the entire story. Because that is what then put us in a better position, because the worrying aspect where I was able to go into a bit of what might have been the reasons why we've always had this problem of clubs going to court and delaying the start of the Premier League, based on the aspect of what he himself has been quoted to have said, that quote unquote, if I should repeat it with all apologies to our dear mothers and sisters, that 20 cities and a woman.
It's enough to influence a football game in this particular case.
That is a serious, and it's too. I mean, it's something. So you realize that probably might have, because these clubs went to court because they thought something untoward happened on their fault.
Yeah. Well, let me put you on hold for a second. Let me go to the phone lines. Let me speak to Nana Faith. She's actually a member of the Veteran Football Administrators Association. Nana, you're welcome to Upfront. First and foremost, there's a statement from the GFA. I'll be taking a quick reaction to this statement, but the few points it makes is pretty simple. They are confirming that the GFA boss is under investigation. They proceed to say that Mr. Nyantakyi isn't a flight risk, and confirms that he's been charged with some specific charges. They are also telling us that the president, that's GFA president, remains innocent until proven guilty. And they also make the point that he still remains the president of the Ghana Football Association, and that nothing within the hierarchy has changed. From where you sit, is Mr. Nyantakyi's continued occupation of that particular position detrimental to the progress of the GFA today?
Yeah. Number one, good evening.
Good evening.
Number two, I think the letter that you just read is unnecessary. They are making the things too complicating for Ghanaians. Like you rightly said, until he goes to court, for the court to pronounce judgment, we don't know whether he's guilty or not. Is that not?
Yeah.
Now, nobody is saying, I don't think the police is saying that he should resign. The police have not said anything about the FA. They have, because Nyantakyi is a lawyer, a good lawyer, and he has a lot of good lawyers behind him. Now, President Akufo is the president of this nation, and he himself is a lawyer, and he has a lot of lawyers to his advantage. So I think that when he received this information, they sat down and they went through and said, no, this is an offense that I don't want to live with it. And the guy sent it to police. Because Nyantakyi is a lawyer, and he has a lot of lawyers. Now, until he goes to court to find out exactly who is telling the truth, we don't know who is telling the truth. So it baffles me that we want to judge this case on air. We are making it too difficult, too complicated for Ghanaians now. Now it's becoming too political. It's coming too political. So is he going to get a fair trial? What exactly is going to happen? Look at what the politicians are saying. The NDC people, the MP people, look at what they are saying. So it's rather unfortunate that we are treating the case like it is. Now, FA people, I think the advice I will give them tonight is they should really stay away from this, because nobody in this country, as at now that I'm talking to you, Nobody has come out to say, officially has come out to say that Nyantakyi should resign. So why are they throwing this kind of bomb, telling us that he's not going to resign, he's this, surprised, We know that he's the president. And there's a case, which he himself has accepted that there's a case. No, until the case go to court. So why are we making a big issue out of this? Why all this talk? Why do we want to judge the case on air? Do you understand what I'm saying? Nyantakyi is a personal friend. Nyantakyi is my son. And look at the position that I'm in now. And I'm not siding anybody.
Okay.
What I'm saying is the truth. What I believe should be done is please allow the law to take its course. Because Nana Addo is by all means, a small lawyer. Nyantakyi is a lawyer. He has a lot of lawyers behind him. The president is a lawyer. He's a president. And he has a lot of legal backing. So before the president will say that, look, I want to take this case to court, or they should arrest this, he's convinced that the evidence that he's holding is nothing but the truth, and that can prosecute him. And Nyantakyi too is there trying to defend himself. So why this holy balloon?
Perhaps because, now if I can explain, that this is the GFA president, there are some who are arguing, and for somebody like, and I can single out Kwabena, yes, Yeboah, for example, he's known, like your very self, to have been in the sporting field and department for a very long time, and his credibility is not in doubt. When it comes out to say that he must resign to make sure that he can fight this fight well, he must resign to save the image of that particular institution. That certainly has a lot of weight, which many are considering.
Yes, sir. You see, I don't have any objection for Kobe Japan. That's his opinion. That is not the law. That is opinion, and I respect Kobe's opinion. I have a lot of respect for his judgment when it comes to sports. You see, but the point that I'm making right now is, if anybody will come on air and talk like Cobra, what he just said, I will live with it. But when they come out and start to say, oh, because of this, the man was dealing with the president, and then this man, he's been taking money for the president, and then this man is this now. My brother, don't you think that we are going a little too far? Jesus, me personally, next week, I'm telling the government, or I'm telling the authorities that I think they should suspend the FA. The FA should put eyes on the FA and to appoint IMF so that the case will be handled properly. Okay. Because right now, anything that they do, anything that they say, they either confirming the fact that he did it or he didn't do it. This man is saying this. And what I don't like about the whole thing is, why are they reading politics into it?
But Nana, is it not strange? Won't FIFA actually complain when Ghana decide, as in government you proposed, decide to intervene at this particular point in time? Will it not be counterproductive at this stage?
No. What he's saying, what I'm saying is, look, the case, it's on tape. You have not seen it. I have not seen it. Or if you have seen it, officially. You have not seen it. Me, I have seen it. Officially, I cannot say what is on the tape until after 6. Now, what is on table right now does not have anything at all with football. It does not have anything at all with football. It's rather unfortunate that Nyantakyi happened to be the president of Ghana Football Association. But what is happening, the case before him right now, does not have anything to do with football. So football people should take it easy. The FA people and everything, because the case don't have anything to do with football.
Okay.
Yes. You see, the case, they said that the case before him right now.
Okay. Whatever the issue
right now is he took he used president's name falsely. He did this. What does football got to do with this?
Now, but part of that communication, at least what we have been told, is that he also said that to influence a referee, all that you require is 20 CD and some girls. That is clearly a damning verdict on the Ghanaian football administration structure, i.e., it will take that little to be able to orchestrate any winning in the game.
That's a very good point that you are making, the referees. Don't we have the referee association in this country? Don't we have them? How many referees do we have? And if somebody comes out to accuse you being so cheap that you take only 20% for a woman and they can get you to do anything. Why are the referees very quiet? Why the referee association don't they have a president or chairman of the referee association? Why don't you just come out and they defend the referee? Why do you want to put this under the umbrella of the president? He's a president and he says, I've seen the tape and this is about me. And I'm going to take action. I'm going to make sure that justice is done. And then the referees, why do you want to put the referees here? The referees, they have their chairman, they have the committees, they have everything here. And somebody is saying that you take bribe and everything now. You should attack the person. You don't sit down for somebody to fight your war for you.
Now, my last question, forgive me, my last question to you in this particular case is, really, you are suggesting that the FA should be put on hold and an interim team be appointed to do the job. Who should do this? The FA itself or an external body?
Oh, you see, the FA itself at this time, the FA itself, because Nyantakyi is the FA's president, and they are saying that the president is facing, he has some kind of trouble. Now, the FA people should sit down and decide what they should do next. If we want to continue running this place, we have to appoint somebody to act as a president, whilst Kwesi is doing this. But I don't want the FA, the letter that the FA sent is rather on the bad case, so far as I'm concerned. I don't want the FA to come up and say, so far as we are concerned, he's our president, so far as we are concerned, he has done this. No, nobody is saying that he's not your president. Nobody is saying that he's not your president. He's your president. But he says he used the president's name forcefully.
I get you.
Do you see the difference?
I get you, yes. I'm able to agree on that. But forgive me, I've run out of time. And I wish we could have this conversation and a lot of things. But forgive me.
Every time you call me, I'm ready to.
Nana, I'm grateful. Thank you so much for joining us today. And Nana is actually a virtual football administrator. I'm sure the Honorable, you know him, mindful of what he's done in that particular field. And you're very play in the area too. Now, let me understand this very well. He is of the opinion that, on one end, it looks like he's suggesting the current structure cannot deal with the problem. They need an alternative structure. They need a replacement to the president. That's what he's suggesting. But that should come from within the FA. At the point in time, I also heard him say that, well, they needed to actually suspend the entire football association and review it at a point in time so that it can work the way it ought to work. Are these proposals you agree with?
In fact, what ought to be done is to look within and then begin some reformation.
The same FA?
Yes, it's very important. I was just, telling you.
Are there men of integrity, competence, ability to be able to do this dispassionately, no matter whose ox is God?
You know, it took a group of members of the FIFA to begin, after all the issues that broke, and the actions by the United States of America and some other, institutions against some key personalities, including the FIFA president and all that. And they came to the realization that there was a need for some quick reformation to bring some confidence back into the entire administration and governance of FIFA. A committee quickly came to look into the matter, and it was all within. And I believe it can be done in here. There are people, men, women of integrity in there that can easily look at the issues and begin to see the best way forward, going forward. Because I'll look at it in these two angles. One, the call by Mr. Kwabena Yeboah, and then I think it was well buttressed by our dear father who just spoke. You would notice that clearly he is agreeing more or less to the need for the president to probably step aside.
Yes.
Okay. And allow the system to function. Then going forward, begin to analyze systems within.
Okay.
And see where there was the need for some reforms, and then bring back confidence into the system. It's very important, because if clubs were to have confidence in the system, I don't think they would have resorted to the courts.
But he's also contesting that
I'm looking at a general.
There's a partisan choice that you politicians are putting to work.
Unfortunately, I think since I've been here, I've never.
But this might not be the only platform.
I'm just.
This might not be the only platform he's spoken. Yes.
No, but the point is, if what I've just indicated here has been exactly more or less what I've said virtually everywhere.
Okay. So
because I can only begin to say fully what I think about the process after I have watched the video.
I get your point,
and that is very important. But I can make the statements I have been making so far based on what we have heard
and what is being out there.
Yes, that is all it is.
Okay, I get your point. There's this element that he also introduced. He said that so far as we are concerned, and the extent of the expose that we have seen so far, all the indications suggest that this is not a football problem; it is an individual problem. Can we separate the two and deal with Mr. Nyantakyi as an individual, divorced from the structures of the FA?
You are talking about in terms of the system. Without the president, the system can't function in terms of decision making sometimes.
Okay.
And so he is very key in all the administrations and governance of the FA in this country.
So I think what he's trying to say is that the president was involved, let's say, in a traffic offense.
So let me come to
engagement.
Fine. That you could see or look at the matter in two different angles. One with regards to an investor who wants to invest per exactly what the issues are between the president of the republic, the vice president of the republic, and the president of FA, and then the investors and all that took place in terms of monies exchanging hands and all that. All that is a different matter. But let me tell you where football comes in and where I believe people are getting worried and where people are beginning to stretch their imaginations to look at past events. And then we'll say that, oh, why? You understand? And that has been that little piece where a referee, could.
Okay.
That one is one thing that we were thinking that, look, I mean, if you are aware of some of the things like this, then obviously you have eroded the confidence in your operations. And so anytime there's a problem, even if you put your team together and by your statutes, your judicial committee ought to be seen working and to come out a verdict that should be acceptable by parties. And to the extent that parties are beginning to even disrespect your rulings and then go outside your operations to the law courts, then there's a problem. There is one thing that you have then, your own members don't have confidence in your operation.
I see.
And so that is one thing that we need to look at and see how we can reform and then bring back that. And so if you just suppose that statement and the happenings, then we have an issue to really look into.
I'll be back to ask whether Parliament's Committee on Youth and Sport has started this matter, whether in the interim, after this break, of course. But folks, we'll go for a break and be back on our conversation on the football administration and the current developments on the front of the expose, which is here to be aired, but already sending jitters down the spine of many people in the country. Welcome back to Our Front. Our conversation is with the ranking member on the Youth and Sports Committee, i.e. minority spokesperson on the Youth and Sports Committee, and it's to do with the current scandal involving the GFA, which is out of a snippet of what they call it, an investigative piece by Anas Aremi Anas, which is just being released, perhaps watched by the president and a few people in the country. We know that GFA Boss has been charged with some form of charge. We know that he's still consistently going in and out of the CID office. We know that today there were attempts to actually invite Member of Parliament for Laura in the very person of Deputy Ross Minister Abaifa Anthony Kabu. That was heavily resisted by the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Oh, the MP says no.
No, I don't think it was resisted.
The Parliament of the Republic of Ghana opposed that particular move.
They did not.
Okay.
Procedurally.
Okay, so they say procedurally they thought it was
just
all right.
have to follow
All
procedure.
right. So
that's all.
that is what's happening today. We understand next week is supposed to meet them, but Parliament insists the police would have to go through the right process. That's basically what has happened so far. So Okay, now we need to wrap up on the conversation in a couple of minutes from now.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that are very key to the conversation as of now is that the way forward many are suggesting, and also the suggestion that the overhaul of the FA should be done from people from within, by people from within. There is also this inclination that you as a committee, you have failed all these years, and the JFA Commission tried reforming the GFA, gave suggestions, plenty of them. We do not know the extent of implementation of this particular one. I do recall that some have asked the President of the Republic of Ghana whether or not he's pursuing that particular document so that we see the recommendations being brought to light. What exactly is Parliament's Youth and Sports Committee going to do? Have you met on this matter? Are you likely to meet anytime soon? Are you going to make some specific declarative notes, step in to ensure there's order at this time?
Yeah, thank you. The issue is this. We will do all that is required by law. Our oversight definitely includes ensuring that there's sanity in the industry. And so we are monitoring the happenings.
You're monitoring?
In fact,
since last week?
No, monitoring the happenings. And meetings will be called very soon.
Have we met on the matter yet?
We are just actually waiting for the premiering of the video. And
okay.
Probably we
so
are
you're waiting for that before?
Because we are going to probably even request as a committee, and I'll suggest it at the committee level to my chairman and the rest of the members to request officially that Tiger Eye, comes before the committee and probably premiere it to, show the video to us.
Okay.
Because we are key stakeholders in all this, so that we can understand the extent to which maybe the stories are, and then probably come out.
The instrumental head of the GFA has been in and out of the CID's own operations within the last few days. To be clear, are you going to call Mr. Nyantakyi to your committee to interrogate him on these matters?
That we will not do that. I don't think it will be fair to him.
I've not gotten an answer from
listen. No, listen to it properly.
Yes.
I don't think it will be fair to him. We have what it takes, okay, to do so, to know the details,
yeah.
Okay.
But the issue is that better informed when it's coming from the horse's own mouth. The horse being the person who's been accusing this case.
I think we will be better placed to understand even the content of the video.
Oh, okay.
That will even inform us as to exactly what to do next, as to whether we would want to invite the FA, including himself, to probably furnish the committee based on the video we may have watched, and so that at least we can then put things in their proper perspective. Now, don't forget, the police would do their work. We'll be monitoring the police as well as to whether what is expected of them. Because the general public is expecting that the thorough work is done, and then maybe they get maybe good results. And so we'll be watching, because at the end of the day, the bashes probably may come to us as members and the representatives of the people.
That's the question I'm going to ask next.
So we will ensure that we do the scrutiny. We'll ensure that what ought to be done as a committee on this matter, for and on behalf of the people of the country, we do our part. We will make sure that what ought to be done in terms of information coming to the public is done.
Would it be fair for people to insist that because your committee failed in its oversight role, that's why we are where we are today?
I don't think so.
Have your committee inquired about the JFA Commission's report and its implementation?
Absolutely.
When was the last time you made this query?
Wonderful. In fact, even when this
because I'm running out of time, I want a date. I want a specific date. When was the last time you made this query?
It could be probably last year. Because
what was the updates giving you on that particular request?
No, there's a white paper on that. It's the current government.
I know, which are supposed to implement that.
Minister is up.
What has been the latest update from the minister to you when you made a query?
We will have to, get him to furnish us the details of.
Oh no, but what you're saying is that they have not
me,
responded to the query you put to them previously.
No, listen to me very carefully.
I've run out of time, so I just want us to model the way that I can get the answers quickly.
We have done what ought to be done in terms of asking the ministry to ensure that that is implemented, because that is supposed to be a working tool.
What is the extent of implementation so far?
That is what maybe we have to get him to come and finish us, so that I can be able to tell you exactly where we are.
You agree that the committee has not done a very good job?
Absolutely, so far? I will not agree with you.
You were chairman of the committee.
I was.
And I piloted when the commission was doing its work.
Yes, and we did. At the time, you can ask Nyantakyi Van der Poel to make sure that at least he finished the committee all the time about what was going on at the time. And we were really on the same page at all times.
And yet now, we have this happening in the FA.
My goodness, I was telling you what was a banter between, and now Sakan were able to, sometimes, you know, the Nyantakyi wanted to ensure that
I get you.
Things were done properly. And we all saw what happened.
My time is out. Forgive me. Yeah, I need to go now.
We all saw what happened.
Thank you so much.
So you need to support people like him to actually put the FA on their toes.
He's the ranking member on the Youth and Sports Committee in Parliament. Thank you so much for joining us on our front today.
Thank you very much.